Good morning, everyone. It is hot. Look at me. I'm all wet, sweated. Look at that. It is hot. And in 4 days, possibly 5 days, if it doesn't move as fast as they're talking about, we have a hurricane heading our way. So, with that being said, what are we doing? Oh, thank you, Jim. My saving grace, he brought me a bottle of water. He's taking a break as well. He's doing the heavy work. I just moved my little baby tree nursery to a safe area, which I'll show you. We're planning on moving the bucks out of this pasture and back into the dog kennel during the storm for security and safety for them, because they're under more trees where they're at right now, and a couple of these trees may come down because they're showing signs that they're dying off. Just a couple, but it's enough that I'd be concerned. If their fence comes down, then they're very vulnerable to predators and to be able to get loose and disappear because of fear from the storm. So there's a few things we have to get done. We are also working with my daughter and telling her with her property areas that she needs to work on, and that's going to be priorities is being able to cook. She's totally on the grid and everything's electric, so her air conditioning, her cook stove, her water pump, everything is electric. So we're coaching her a little bit on what she can do when this hurricane hits to get through, because she's pretty rural and she would be one of the last people to get power back on. So basically for her, it's storing drinking water and possibly having a rain barrel. If she had 55 gallons of rainwater from the storm, she could be doing things like bathing, cleaning, whatever she felt she needed to do. We are probably going to take a rain barrel over for her, or she's going to come pick one up. We're giving her some of our 5-gallon jugs that we used when we first moved up here before we set up our in-house water systems. We are also going to loan her a camping stove so that if it's bad outside and they want to cook, they can cook inside with a very little ventilation. She can cook safely right on top of her glass stove. For us, our main thing here is securing anything that could be picked up and blown. We're going to secure our hay shed because we have it fairly open so that the hay gets a lot of airflow so it doesn't mold. Moldy hay is toxic to goats. So that's why our hay shed is only 3-sided. We're probably going to put a partial 4th side up and just leave enough room for us to get in, pull hay, and get access to our feed barrels. We're also going to be closing in the venting that we left along the roof line. We're going to throw a couple pieces up with a couple screws of wood, and that's so that any sideways blowing rain does not get in, because we just bought a huge round of hay that's stored in there. We also got how many bales of peanut hay?
There are 8 stacked in there.
8 bales of peanut hay, and peanut hay is expensive, so we want to make sure that we're keeping it nice and dry. And of course our animal feed is all stored in barrels, so that's secured. We have you know, when you walk around our property, we've had tarps laying on the ground, so we're picking all that stuff up. Anything that can be picked up and blown, we're going to clean up. So that's what we've been working on this morning. I think I need to walk you around a little bit and show you what we're doing. Okay guys, some of the areas, like around our wood piles, we had plastic and tarps laying. I am moving this one wood pile. Hopefully I get it done before the storms hit, because I want to pick up all the plastic that's covering it and put it under an actual tarp. And I dug that out of the ground, so some of it's just cleanup that needed to happen anyway. We did secure our lumber scraps, and the reason we did that is because some of this stuff is really lightweight, and we definitely felt it could be picked up and thrown around. So as you can see, we got some heavy-duty straps tying it down. We also put our trailer over the the big stuff. We actually picked this stuff out to be used for projects. So that's covering that stuff. The shed, we don't have this done yet, but we are going to, see if I can show you here. We're going to put, and it might be a piece of lumber scrap. We're going to enclose this area here for any side blowing winds. If the wind blows sideways, it's going to come right in here. So we're going to put some wood up there to close that in. This side we only have a tarp. You can see our hay is right there. So we're talking about putting some pieces of wood up going this direction and just put a couple screws in to hold it for the storm. And we'll probably take this tarp down or not. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see how bad the storm's going to be by the time it starts getting close to us. We're going to do the same thing on this side of the shed. The tarp doesn't block all that up there, so that all has to be covered. And we're going to throw a piece up, if we can get it there, which I don't know that we can, across right underneath the roof eaves, just to be on the safe side. The garden, there's nothing I can really do for the garden. If it makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, some things I might lose is those brand new zucchini plants, but time will tell. See how bad the winds get. And you see my cucumbers are already dying off, so I'm not too worried. We've got plenty of cucumbers for our everyday snacking and enjoyment. Ooh, look what I found. You never know what you find in the garden. There's really nothing to be done in the chicken area. We do have a tarp on the back side of that dog kennel that the rabbit cages hang on. We will drop that to the ground and secure it, and that'll just give more wind and rain protection to the rabbits and the chickens when they're in the back main area of the coop. We already have a shade cloth up, which will block a lot of the side blowing rain. These young hens will be put into the main coop. They're old enough, they're big enough, so it's time for them to move in. Look at that comfrey. Just basically pick it up. We're going to secure chairs, little things, a lot of little things. We're actually making a list so we don't overlook anything. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with my seed start area, because that's definitely going to be vulnerable to branches hitting it, trees falling, wind pushing them around till they fall off the table. So that's going to have to be cleaned up. We did move our water totes that we had broken down. We put them back in the cages and put that one up against the house. We're going to clean this area up. Our fuel for our generator will be topped off by Monday. So if we have enough overcast and we can't run the solar, we will have a generator. We actually have two, so we have plenty of power for the house. We are going to tarp this kennel from the very top all the way around. It's going to be tied down along the sides and along the bottom so that wind and rain doesn't get into this area. And that's where the young bucks are going to go. Hi, Trinity. These girls will be going into their shelters, of course. Their shelters are rock solid. I'm not worried about them at all. Someone actually accused me of having really poorly built shelters. You know what? I can't afford to build a barn, guys. I don't have, 10 years from now, I won't need a barn. And to be honest with you, pallets have just as good framing as any other construction method. These sheds are now 2 going on 3 years old, and we haven't lost one yet in a storm. So I think we're doing pretty darn good. I can literally walk up and try and shake those sheds. They don't move. They don't wobble, nothing. Now, this structure, I don't know how this is going to hold up. So time will tell. This is just a brand new thing we just did, so time will tell. Trinity, what do you want, sweetheart? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. What do you want? Huh? Silly girl. But the goats should be pretty good. There's really not much we're going to be able to do other than put food and water inside each shelter, so when they go in out of the wind and rain, they will have food and water inside each of their shelters. But their shelters will stay high and dry, and we really have never had any water intrusion problems at all on those shelters, so we're not worried about them. One of the things we did do is I moved all my nursery tree plants and I put them up against these water totes. These water totes will be full of water. They're halfway full now. They're not going to move. This one's empty and tucked up against, and my trees are in between. So all my nursery trees will not get knocked over, broken during the storm. So that's something we did do. This has to be moved. We'll probably tuck this rain barrel up in here somewhere. There's a lot yet we can do. Solar panels, these we might just lay down during the storm. They're not secured to anything. Our others are already tied down with ropes, so we don't have to worry about those. I got some laundry hanging, yay! This mobile goat shelter, we will not be using this during a hurricane. And it's not because of construction, guys. It's because this was not designed for a hurricane. This is not something I want my goats in during a storm. Is it safe? Yes, it is. Average, normal weather, it is safe. It is heavy. Will it blow over? I seriously do not think so. That thing is rock solid. I could tuck it between some trees, like over in here, so it doesn't get pushed like this during a storm. But I would rather just take these guys into an area I know is safer and easier for us to take care of them during a storm. The little man back there. What you doing, Titan? Titan! Little talker boy here. But these guys are doing wonderful in here. And they're actually starting to clear this patch of woods, which is really good. But yeah, we want them in a really secure area for the storm. We have not picked up, we keep forgetting. Oh, I don't know how we forget. It is on my list for my next store run though. I finally wrote it down. We need to pick up a new tarp. This is only draped over. It's not tied down at all. So we need a new tarp that we can actually put over the cattle panels and secure. And that's another reason why this will not be a shelter during the storm. It is nice and dry, as you can see. You can see the dry hay in there. They got plenty of dry hay. They get food and water in there, so if it's raining, they don't have to come out for anything. And that is serving them wonderful. But will it be okay for a hurricane? The way it is right now with this tarp, my answer is no. So that's why we wouldn't be using that. And the other reason is these fences right here. If a tree limb falls on them, it grounds this fence out, and then we won't have no electricity, so predators, and if they got out, they could get lost. And with the storm being scary, they probably would try and find shelter somewhere, and they could potentially get lost. So we're not willing to risk that either. So there's a few things we're going to be doing to make sure our kids are safe. And one of them is taking them out of this temporary pasture into a hardwire fence area. So, trying to think of some other things we have to do. There really isn't much, just basic cleanup. Things that we know could get picked up and thrown around, we will be cleaning up. You guys always say you see Jim working. Look what Jim's doing right now. No, he's not snoring, he's just pretending to. One of the other things is moving all our water that are in these barrels into our main house system, so we don't have to come out during the storm and do that. We will have plenty of water for probably, what, 2 weeks if we do that? We fill our house system? More than that. More than that. Okay.
Almost a month if we fill it.
If we fill those 2 totes right there, we have enough water for in our house for almost a month. Huh? He's saying maybe more than that. But just to give you an idea, we're doing good. We're getting ready. We will be prepared. No, we are not going to be bugging out. We're going to ride this storm out. And there are a few more things we have to get done. I'm sitting down. Oh, that feels so good on my back. It's like I said to Jim, we have 4, possibly 5 days to get all this done. So we're not panicked. We just are realistic. Let's get a little bit done each day. That way when the storm rolls in, we can kick back in our recliners and watch it and just enjoy the fact that we don't have to go out chasing tarps and stuff blowing around the property. So that's what we're doing right now, guys. We'll keep you updated after the storm passes. I'll give you another update video as to how we did, of course. Wouldn't be the same without sharing that information, that's for sure. So guys, if you're in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, get prepared. Buckle down, get your food, your water, your off-grid cooking devices ready. We could be in for a good storm. I think by the time it reaches us, it's probably going to be a category 1 to a 2, but most likely a 1 or less. So that's not really that bad. We've been through worse. All right, guys, take care. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. God bless.